Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Why Ukraine live stream. I hope you're all having a great evening, morning, whatever time it is, wherever you are. It's a little bit past my bedtime, so I hope I have enough caffeine. I hope my sound is working well. Everyone can hear me. I will take off my hat. Maybe that'll help me hear better. Anyway, thank you all for coming. And we have some things to talk about today. I'm going to start with, I think, we're going to talk about the F-16s. We're going to talk about the minerals deal. We're going to talk a little bit about, unfortunately, I'm sorry, we got to talk a little bit about good old American politics, because it has an impact on not just all of your lives, but my life here. And then we're going to get into drone tech and all the amazing tech stuff that's happening here on the battlefield in Ukraine. And if you didn't know, my name's James, and I'm a soldier in the Ukrainian army. And I'm my most recent project, as you can see on the screen. Hang on, I don't want my hat to fall down. I think this is a bad place for my gun. Oh well. Most recently, my project has been replacing Starlink for the Ukrainian army. And I've kind of assembled a team, trained them, launched the project, and now, I mean, I hope it's kind of taken off by itself, at least within my battalion. But we'll talk more about that. So let's talk about this F-16 situation and why it's so important, and what it signifies, right? And what it's related to, because I think it's related to the mineral deal in some way, but well, we can speculate a little bit. I'd like to welcome everybody here who's in the chat: Nikki, Robert, the real Vladimir Putin, Michelle, Frag, Nikki, Stephen, Salt of the Red Earth, Wee Bit Fury, Mitch. Thank you for lurking. Thank you all for coming. I did an Ask Me Anything last time, but those of you who attend my live streams know that every live stream is an Ask Me Anything. That I don't like just sitting here talking to the screen. I like talking to you guys, and so feel free to ask as many questions as you want. It means I forget what I'm talking about and jump around, and I'm a squirrel, but there we are. So it's pretty interesting that this happened basically exactly the same time, relatively speaking, geologically speaking, politically speaking, exactly the same time as the minerals deal with this F-16 thing. But here's the thing, right? There's no way that they could have planned that. Do you think? I mean, what do you guys think? Do you think that they signed the minerals deal and they were just waiting there with this mothballed F-16, going, okay, as soon as Trump, or actually it wasn't even Trump that signed it, right? It was like some other staffers, not even up at that high of a level, right? But it's confirmed now. So here's the thing, right? U.S. confirms sending decommissioned F-16 spare parts. All right. And I was talking with maybe some of you in maybe it was Greg Terry. I can't remember who. Welcome, Anna, by the way. Thanks for coming. Um, but uh, so it's spare parts, right? But here's the problem with this spare parts business. Look at that. Look at that picture. Can we zoom in? What can I do to like zoom in on this? Right? That is the fuselage of an airplane. Maybe it was Dennis Davydov saying this. It's like the main part of an airplane, and according to this article, it is devoid of radar or engine, so it's just an empty shell. Now, but here's the thing: is that really a spare part? Uh, Shere Khan, no, it's not. It is not the Maria, but it is a related plane. The Maria is actually bigger, which gives you an idea how big the Maria was. Thank you, Hugh. AN 124. Yes, thank you, Stephen. It is a Ukrainian plane, undoubtedly. Ukrainian-made plane. You know, and I mean, they could have sent it on a different plane, right? That's the thing. They didn't have to send it on a plane with these big and yellow big yellow and blue stripes on it. There could have been some other kind of a plane. I don't know, something. But this is making a specific statement. Okay, and yes, it's allegedly spare parts, but is a whole fuselage really a spare part though? Like, you're going to be like, oh, we got a problem with the whole like center part of the plane. We have to replace it. No, it's a whole plane. Okay, and then they're sending the plane, and then maybe they'll send the engine and the radar separately from like a third country or something like that, and then they'll send the wings. You know, so the U.S. is and they're doing this because they want to say we're not doing it, but they're doing it. They're sending F-16s. Now, the question is, did Trump do this? Is Trump responsible for this? Or was this something that was like already in the works? I mean, inquiring minds want to know. You know, it's something all like Biden's special present, you know, after he said no F-16s for 3 fucking years. Excuse my French. Yeah. So, and I mean, honestly, the question is, I mean, where they, it would be kind of funny. It would be very theatrical if, you know, this plane was just like waiting by the wayside to come and pick, like the minute the mineral deal was signed, let's go pick up the F-16. But this can't be the only one either, right? I mean, how many F-16s can this thing hold? Do you think they'd send a whole freaking plane like that? So let me just measure with my thumb, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 F-16 fuselages in there, you know? Maybe that's why they have them disassembled so they can stack more in. I mean, it's interesting. It's interesting, and I mean, maybe this minerals deal was just the carrot that Trump needed, you know? Or maybe, you know, Trump's been saying, "Oh, I'm putting pressure on Putin." Maybe this is the pressure that Trump is putting. Like, "Hey, look, you know, oh, hey, Belle, thank you so much for coming." And Nikki, oh, I already said you. Haha, you're in here. Haha, Nikki, I see you're putting plus plus. You're becoming Ukrainian. So here's an interesting thing, right? So in texting, Ukrainians, instead of doing a thumbs up like we normally do, like a like or a thumbs up in our texts, Ukrainians do a plus, or if they really like something, plus plus, right? And for the longest time, I had no idea what that meant. To me, plus means like more. I want more, or hey, I'm bringing someone else to the party, like a +1. Oh, rollers always use plus. That makes perfect sense, Frag, because, you know, Rick. Makes perfect sense. Rick the Ukrainian. Gotcha. Anyway, so I mean, these are questions we have to ask. Is this Trump turning around on Ukraine, right? And has Zelensky successfully negotiated that, not only with this situation, but also, when he met with him with the Pope? I have not, Vladimir Putin, but I will bring it up to my my techs in the lab. That's interesting. And are they the lithium batteries? Single use? I know that sometimes we will overcharge the batteries for various reasons. But that's very interesting. Okay, single use. I need to write that down somewhere. I will do that right now. I'm adding this to my notes. Single use batteries, more volts. I wonder if there's a weight difference or something. And I will be sure to tell them that the real Vladimir Putin told me about this too. Okay. That's interesting, Last White Rose. It said that the thumbs up is passive aggressive to the younger ones. That's interesting. I can see that. Bell, well, thank you for lurking. Interesting. Okay, so I would just say that my feeling about this, with regards to Trump, and his apparent perhaps turnaround, I think it's Ukraine is a wedge issue in the Republican Party. Okay. Like 50% of Republicans, or possibly more, but let's say 50% of Republicans support Ukraine. A lot of them are against Zelensky because of that. I don't know, that the whole stupid Oval Office bullcrap with the big reality TV show fake argument. But it's I've often said this, that Ukraine is a wedge issue for Republicans. In other words, they're divided on this. And it really sticks in my craw that Democrats in the last election cycle refused to use Ukraine as a political wedge issue to divide Republicans. Like, why? Thank you, Hugh. Hugh says, James, as a Canadian, I want to thank you for caring about Ukraine so much. I don't know your heritage or association with Ukraine, but thank you for what you do. I have no real heritage in Ukraine any more than all of us do as Europeans, because 50% of ancient DNA, ancient European DNA comes from Ukraine, and our entire Indo-European language family comes from Ukraine. But other than that, no, I don't. I moved here 5 years ago, and because of my Don, because I saw what the Ukrainians were doing, in being able to overturn their corrupt politics in favor of democracy. And I understand that that's a fight that's ongoing. And I felt, and clearly I think some of you are beginning to feel, that America is moving in the opposite direction. And I felt that for a long time. you know? Ooh, banged my desk. um, yes, Frag. No, I don't have Swedish, except for my ex-wife. I have Norwegian, Norwegian and Danish, Dano-German, sort of Schleswig-Holstein, and maybe some Swedish through the Yorkish Northern English blood. Anyway, so this whole thing. Oh, thank you, KKSGG. By the way, thanks for coming. Thanks for coming during your lunch break. I understand being under a big work deadline. You guys didn't see me for like 2 months, this is why. um, but yeah, so if you really want to know why Trump is kind of turning around on Ukraine, it still is very much transactional. I don't think that he has any good feelings towards Ukraine. I think it's about the tariffs. I think it's about the tariffs and all the other crazy crap that Trump is doing. That's driving his approval rating down. Trump approval rating. Come on, James. There we go. Oh, here's Newsmax, paid for by Newsmax Media, Trump job performance poll. Wow, they're trying to really work it, aren't they? Here we go. The Economist. This is probably going to be a paywall. Let's see. Trump approval ratings. I mean, they're going down and down and down. And so Trump knows he screwed up, and so he's looking for a win. He's looking for a win. 53% disapprove, according to The Economist. I guess we don't need to go to this article. We can just say 52% disapprove, and it's going more and more down. He's losing like a percentage point every week or two. So I think he needed a win. And it's like, hey, they probably sat down and said, okay, listen, what issues can we change policy on with not looking like losers completely? And to bring up our approval rating. Donald Trump's approval collapses with rural Americans. Ooh. So, he's falling off a cliff here with people, and he's grasping at straws. And this is, I've had people say to me, people I know said to me, James, you got to lay off Trump. If you want to help Ukraine, you can't don't put pressure on Trump. You got to be extra nice to Trump, or he's not going to help Ukraine, and I'm like, no, the opposite. We got to put more pressure and don't let up. Don't think that, oh, well, he's helping Ukraine now. He's sending F-16s and signed the mineral deal, Don't let up that pressure. Because as soon as when you're I mean, this is the thing Democrats got to learn. Like, when you're winning, keep pushing, keep pressing. As soon as we let up that pressure on Trump, he will flip, because he doesn't want to help Ukraine. He doesn't want to do any of this stuff. His hand is being forced, okay, because of all the other screw-ups he's had, and they are legion. They're absolutely legion, So, I mean, let's just take a look here at some of these things. Okay, so here's CNN. Trump turns civil rights upside down, biggest rollback since Reconstruction. Okay, I mean, everybody knows about the tariffs, but let's think about all the other things. So he's signing all of these executive orders. Okay, and basically what it is what whatever he says goes. Presidents aren't supposed to rule by diktat. the the word dictation, right? It's like things you say. Okay. So if you have a ruler who rules by diktat, by executive order, by things he's signing and writing and saying, and whatever he says goes, well, what do we call that? What's the word for that? The word is dictator. That's the word, right? He says, you obey, right? And people have this idea that dictators are not elected. And I would tell you that as often as not, the opposite is true. Okay. Sulla, the classic dictator. Okay. Sulla of Rome, former Roman dictator. This guy, arguably the man who destroyed the Roman Republic. Okay. Read up on Sulla sometime. The awful, very similar to Donald Trump in so many freaking ways. Okay. He was elected as dictator. And here we go. The Republic never recovered from his coup, civil war, and purges. And that's what we're seeing here with Trump. And we've got countless examples of that, right? Ending federal funding for NPR and PBS. Trying to anyway. So he doesn't even have a legal place to do that, but he's saying neither entity presents a fair, accurate, or unbiased portrayal of current event. He's trying to erase media that does provide fair and accurate reporting in the same way that Orban did in terms of taking over the media and taking over the universities. Orban did the same thing. He's following that exact, trying to revoke Harvard University's tax exempt status. Again, nothing to do with the law. This is not something he has the authority to do, right? But he thinks he can rule by diktat. He thinks he can be a dictator. Now is signing this enactment to declare Law and Loyalty Day. Now, I, therefore, Donald J. Trump, President of the United States of America, do hereby proclaim May 1st as Loyalty Day and Law Day. Except he's not talking about loyalty to the Constitution or to the values we hold dear as citizens of the United States. He means loyalty to Donald J. Trump. Okay. And that's what it's all about. So luckily, Michelle says, Vlad, could you tell your toady to go back to the pond from whence he came? Yeah. Well, we just can't let up, And as long as his stupid decisions, I tell you, and you're going to hate me for this, and maybe I hate myself for saying this too. Thank God for him making these stupid tariff decisions. Let me explain why. Because if he weren't so bad and inept as a dictator, as a ruler, he might be getting away with all of the other civil rights, awful infringements on civil rights. He might be getting away with betraying and turning his back on Ukraine, right? If he hadn't done his whole tariff song and dance, I'm sorry to say, I don't think Ukraine would be getting F-16s. That's the point I'm trying to make. Steven says, luckily he's stupid. Yeah, but arguably so was Sulla. At least he didn't value intellect, and that's a huge part of American culture now, is to devalue intellectualism, and that goes hand in stupidity. Oft as not, someone else, maybe in my last live stream, somebody said stupidity oft as not is a cover for corruption, um, and so this is what we have here. The Doge aid involved in dismantling Consumer Protection Bureau owned stock in companies that could benefit from the cuts, right? There's so much of this. And the only thing I can say is we just have to keep pressure. Ryanair drops $33 billion bombshell on Boeing over Trump's tariffs, right? Because these tariffs are, they're going to freaking destroy Boeing. Even the 10% tariffs are enough to freaking destroy the American economy. But that's the point. That's what they want, is to reduce us all down to bare minimum wage. What was the Trump's head economic advisor who was all about, we're going to have an army of people screwing in the screws on iPhones here in America. And it's like, no, we don't want that. We don't want to do that. We don't want to all be reduced to menial labor, I don't know if you guys like this. I think it's actually a sugar cup. And I'm drinking from it like it's coffee. It is coffee. Like it's a coffee cup. Anyway, so, and this one is huge, right? The de minimis exemption, right? So basically, a provision allowed shipments worth $800 or less to avoid U.S. tariffs. Now, even shipments, so even the smallest thing that you order on Amazon is going to be subject to that 145% tariffs. Oh, hello. It wasn't me. Wait, I love the FSB dude in the background. Wait, which one? Is there an FSB guy in my background? No, I guess it must have been another article. Anyway, so meanwhile in Ukraine, so let's get back around to Ukraine. It wasn't me. I'm great. I'm doing great. Thanks for asking. Real Vladimir Putin says, I've been watching 20 minutes. Oh, you're watching 20 minutes behind in the... Okay, gotcha. I do that sometimes too. Right. In the Trump photo. Classic. Yeah. Right. So in the meantime, Ukraine is fighting corruption tooth and nail. Okay. So Motor Sich, it's company based out of Zaporizhia. They back all the way back from the Soviet Union. They made like cars and stuff in the Soviet Union. And so the SBU detained the son of the aviation. Oh, yeah, okay. I guess they make cars and planes. Aviation giant's former president for helping embezzle $650 million in state assets and laundering them via offshore firms and luxury real estate. So, yeah, this stuff happens. Okay, it happens, but Ukraine is fighting it, absolutely fighting it as much as they possibly can, and to the point where any sort of corruption is, just such an incredible social stigma. Anybody who's even associated with corruption, it's patriotic. It's not just. It used to be kind of tolerated, and now it's like, no, you're a traitor. It's patriotic to be against corruption now. And don't think that this is, especially in a time of war. America during the Iraq War had tons of corruption. Cases of $500 hammers and $10,000 toilets being sent to Iraq. $500 million fraud case. As I remember, let me see how I can find it here. Iraq War, fraud, 500 million. Oh, yeah. U.S. contractors penalized. We can just go on and on. So, especially in a time of war, it's a real problem. And so, Ukraine is fighting this, tooth and nail. And at the same time, I would just like to say that, um, there's a lot of talk about Ukraine's corruption, but America has corruption on a whole other level. And it's kind of like quasi-legal corruption, like, for example, this. So the army made a tank it doesn't need and can't use. Now it's figuring out what to do with it. Well, I have some ideas. Send it to Ukraine. But it's the M10 Booker's new tank, I guess, that's been made. And it was supposed to be a small, lightweight tank. And now they found out that 8 of the 11 bridges on the fort where they are going to be using and training with this tank would crack under the weight of the light tank. So they can't even use it. But the way this happened was that the U.S. defense industry is controlled by a few small companies, and they, more or less control these contracts. I mean, kind of in the same way that government contracting fraud happens is probably how this happened, and what they do is they add and add and add to the proposal, to the contract. And one reason that they do that, and I've been involved with government contracting as well. I've seen guys do this. So one reason that they do that is to push out smaller companies who might be able to build the item, but they can't add every bell and whistle and tons of armor. And it gets to be so many amenities, so many requirements that only the largest companies can even hope to be able to meet those requirements. And then it takes forever to get the thing done. And it's been 10 years in development. Now they're realizing they can't even use it. And that's so much the opposite of what Ukraine is doing right now. The money is in all the extras. In the extras. So Ukraine is like using balloons now. Okay, airships are becoming a vital part of the country's anti-drone efforts, and I can tell you, I have spoken to 3 different companies that are actively working on. At least one of them has already deployed balloons of various types here in Ukraine, like really thinking outside the box here. And if you notice, if you look at this black and white picture here, I don't know if this is actually one of the systems, but it's got antennas, right? Those are Yagi antennas, which are ultra long distance for specific frequencies. It's got some wires up here. So this is the, I wonder if this is being used. Oh, yeah. I wonder if this is being used as a ground station. Tethered airships fitted with antennas. Radio. Holy crap. I didn't read this whole article all the way. Oh, wow. This might be exactly what we need. Okay. You didn't hear me say that. I need to. I didn't realize. Okay. I'm going to put this over here in my saved file. Okay. Wow. Look at that. So, I mean, really thinking outside the box. Okay. Is what I'm talking about. And it has its good sides and its bad sides. I just want to skip ahead here because I've got so many examples of so many examples of different drone solutions. I just want to show you this. This is an article on the H.I. Sutton website. So this is one selection, not even comprehensive, selection of long range drones, and I've seen others that are even more than this. Okay, some of these you might have seen, like the Luti, the Beaver, Foxbat. That's the Cessna looking one. I mean, and there's one of your balloons is a completely different balloon from the ones I just showed you. I like this one. This one here is my favorite. The one that's called Lord. That one looks great. It's just like, and you can actually, in the picture, you can actually just see the duct tape. That's my favorite right there. That's and I've seen plenty of examples. If I were to like set up a company and build drones, that's what I would like to do. To be honest, I know that sounds crazy. Yeah, at the last Brave one, there were 1,500 companies with 3,000 products in development. Yeah, that's what it is. And this sort of Silicon Valley model is really, what's needed. And I say Silicon Valley, but let me tell you, I mean, I come from Silicon Valley, and Silicon Valley doesn't have this anymore. Okay, Silicon Valley is a bunch of, I mean, if you go and look at the latest like Y Combinator, if you guys don't know what Y Combinator is, it's a startup accelerator, probably the biggest, largest, and well known. But if you go in here and look at the list of you know graduates, the companies that are coming out of here, they're all like just 1,000 ways to kind of do the same thing. Like, oh, we could build a phone app. Everything is about phone apps and AI, right? Whatever's the trendiest thing. No, there's not real innovation. Okay. Right. And in the meantime, we're coming up with all kinds of new things and new ways to do stuff. I mean, even in my own laboratory, we are, one of my techs, I say my techs, but they don't work for me. They're just my team members. Wrote a new app that does some just amazing things that are gonna I mean, we are testing it out now, and it's just a tiny little thing, but it could really change, really fix a lot of the problems with that a lot of drone units have. Because a big problem that we're having right now, this is the flip side of this, all this innovation is great. Okay, but and I'm just showing you fixed wing drones. FPV drones, holy bejesus, you guys. I could go on Facebook right now, and almost every single ad that I get on Facebook is for a Ukrainian drone company, or something related to drones, honestly. Frag, I did not. I've been really falling behind, because up until yesterday, I've just been 24/7, either out in the field or in the lab or just going straight to bed. And I've really been falling behind on a lot of, um oh wow, Bell, thank you. Thank you so much for gifting that membership. I want to let everybody know that you can connect your, if you have Discord, you can connect your Discord to Yeah, thank you, Frag. I will do that. Brandon's drone shop video 25th. Maybe I will so
A small
this, if you want to know like kind of the place where I work, imagine this, but like 3 times larger. Okay. And well, I mean, even that section, I mean, anyway, it's cool shit. But yeah, so dirt cheap Ukrainian FPV drone just crushed a rare $7 million Russian war toy. This is a thing, right? So these interceptors,
Ukrainian
just regular FPV
first-person view
interceptors, in fact,
FPV interceptor drone has
are starting
successfully
to be
struck a
used
Russian
to
four-post
take
reconnaissance
out
aircraft,
Russian
according to
drones
footage
more and more and
released
more.
by
And
Ukraine's
it's really
Birds
necessary
of
because
Magyar unit. The interception, which took place at
the orcs, not only do they have the goddamn shaheeds, and they do all the bullshit with the shaheeds. Fucking, like, I don't know how many attacked last night in, I think it was Zaporizhia. There was, I don't know how many, 20. I read somewhere, maybe it was more. Cherkasy, it's another city, about 600,000 people. There were, I don't know what it was, more than 10, I heard. So this mass attack with the sheets is not just that. It's that everywhere along the front lines, okay? You look here at Deep State map. Everywhere along the front lines here, the Russians don't have as good a satellite. They're not getting the Western satellite stuff as much. So what they're doing instead is that within 50 kilometers, and I was listening to some live stream, maybe it was I think it was last night on JP. I think that Ivan from Cars for Ukraine was talking about how within about 50 kilometers, at least 25 kilometers along the front lines here, it's just slammed with these reconnaissance drones, massive amounts of Russian reconnaissance drones. And Ukraine hasn't been taking those out because, there's only so much we can do. But that is starting to change. That's starting to turn around. And I think in the future, we're going to see Russia go blind on the front lines, to be honest, with these different types of interceptors. And, I know Anduril is doing this mass production of interceptor drones. And I think that, well, I mean, why are they mass producing interceptor drones? Why would they do that? What are they going to do with them? Right? Well, they're going to send them to Ukraine for testing. Okay. Signaling the system is moving beyond development into full-scale manufacturing. Reusable? Really? Vertical takeoff and landing VTOL and autonomous vehicles. So we're going to start seeing this, and I think this is going to go a long way to, it's not the biggest thing, maybe it's not the highest priority, but I think it needs to be a priority, is that layered air defense. We desperately need for Ukrainian civilians, not just for civilians, but for the purpose of being able to have manufacturing, being able to do more safe manufacturing, and also just removing that intelligence, because right now anything and everything you do on the front lines practically is going to be visible by both sides, as a matter of fact. So it's a constant like cat and mouse game here, and I just wanted to share a couple of these things with you. So this is a real concern, I guess. Russia has deployed an entire armada of ships with calibers to the Black Sea. Well, why are they doing that? Right? Because they had retreated almost entirely from the Black Sea. So they must be, well, okay, apparently they must have something, they must think at least that they have some kind of a defense against the sea babies. That's the only reason that they would be sending this. I mean, this could be like, so this is May 2nd, okay? 15 enemy ships coming into the Black Sea. As of 6 a.m. So, like, this could be like a pivotal thing. Like, apparently Russia must think they have solved the problem of sea babies. You know, it's this constant cat and mouse game. And another example that I wanted to bring up is this. So Russian infantry stormed positions wearing anti-thermal ponchos. So these are, and I've seen a lot of designs of this, even on the Ukrainian side. But they're basically multi-layered, like a blanket, you know, blanket, sort of hoodie blanket. And basically what it's got inside is some sort of tufty, very loose insulating fabric, and then a layer of mylar. So it has the camo stuff that you see there, and then mylar, and then the loose insulative fabric, and then another layer of mylar, and then another layer of camo. Is generally how these things are made. And it's just interesting that they're using them, because the Ukrainian army kind of determined that that for assault, they're just, kind of impossible, because when you're moving around, and they might be okay for defense, but for you're going to expose like little spots. And I don't know, it's pretty interesting. You can just see, though, this is technology that's being constantly developed back and forth and back and forth. Let's see here. The most important thing, I think, is that Ukraine is relying less and less on actual humans on the front line. Frag, you said you saw a funny video with Russian in drone suits. What's a drone suit? I saw a funny video. I have to say, I can't show it here, but I've seen a funny video of a Russian wearing one of these blankets, okay, running around being chased by a drone. Okay, and it did not end well for him. We nicknamed him Batman. So this is not 100% thing. Batman did not make it. He is not among the land of the living anymore. Ballistic shields, perhaps. Yeah. I will tell you, I am. I'll have something to share about that. I'm always experimenting with armor and different things, and maybe next time. I think I've been talking long enough today. Maybe next time I'll do a little bit of show and tell of my armor. One thing I did want to share with you, though, is Cornelius, how's the micro drones development? Micro drones are really only used for training. In fact, drones are kind of going bigger and bigger. And even like a 7-inch drone, if you want to have, I mean, a lot of drones now are just being used as anti-personnel, which I think is a waste of a drone, but it just means like $400 per Russian, basically, but also understand that not every drone makes it, essentially. I've seen a lot of micro drones used for training. Anyway, I just wanted to do a little bit of show and tell because Frog asked about the back brace. I don't know if you guys remember, I asked for help buying this, actually, which is, it's a thing that was invented in America after the Iraq War, and it goes back here and helps support your back when you're carrying heavy loads. And at the beginning of my service here in the Ukrainian army, I was still in therapy because of my back and still experiencing pretty extreme back pain. Any day that I skipped therapy, and I was doing therapy 3 days a week. I think I finally finished therapy in February is when I finally did. And I've been doing the exercises like on my own. And and let me tell you, this has really, I just last week took it out of my armor because I realized I didn't need it anymore. Because as long as I hold my posture correct when I'm running around and I don't like slump over or anything, and also if I have to carry a heavier load, like if I'm going to do a big ruck, 10 kilometers or 20 kilometers or something, then I will definitely put this back in. Yeah. But I took it out because I felt like I don't need it anymore, which is great, which is fantastic. So I want to thank you guys who contributed to helping me get this. So if you don't know how it works, it's got like a spring in here, and so it takes the load off of your shoulders a little bit and puts it down onto your hips, essentially. And then the other thing, Frog, you were asking about is these. I'll take them out here. These knee pads, and I've got them in these pants. I bought 2 pairs, and I forgot to take them out of my other pants, and they're actually in the washing machine right now, which I can hear is on its final cycle, I think. But yeah, so these are made by MTAC, and I will show you. Let's see. Yeah, these things, which you guys helped, and they're very cheap, honestly. But at the time, I I needed them, and you guys, it was great. Thank you very much for helping with that. But so now, I guess this is the last thing I want to talk to you guys about. I've been asked by my battalion. You guys remember that when I joined a unit called the Angry Birds or Birds of Fury. That unit was a company size unit, was integrated into a battalion, for better or for worse. Someday I'll tell you that whole story. But the battalion is this. This is now I'm sharing this with you right now because I didn't know if I was authorized to talk about it before. So this is my battalion, the Scythian Griffins. That's what that says there. Skifsky Griffoni, because it's a h sound instead of a G sound, which is a cool name for a battalion if you're a big history person like me. And if you don't know what a Scythian is or what a Griffin, well, you should know what the Griffin is. But the Scythians were basically occupied, this whole territory. This is well before the Mongols. I'm talking from like 7th through the 3rd centuries BC, and actually beyond if you count the pre-culture. So they're the culture of the Cimmerians. The Cimmerians were the pre-Scythian culture, and they were descended from ultimately from what we call the Yamnaya people, who again were the actual Indo-Europeans. Anyway, I won't get into it. So the Scythian Griffins, pretty cool name, and they actually, if we look it up, Scythian Griffin, they use this imagery of griffins all over their artwork and such. And in fact, this is actually a copy of a that's not a griffin tattoo, is it? It's like they had all these crazy weird animals, and you can see how this is also related to Celtic artwork, okay? Because ultimately the Celtic culture, at least genetically, if not culturally, was descended from the same culture that produced the Scythians. Anyway, it's great. It's cool. It's awesome. So I've been asked by my battalion, and that's it. I've been asked by my battalion to help. Yeah, acid trips cultures. Yeah, pretty much, man. Pretty much, really. They are crazy, ornate, amazing stuff. And this was, the red deer was another one of their very important symbols. And you have griffins attacking horses. I've actually personally seen this. This is a very famous. This is in a museum here in Kyiv. And it's big. It's like this big thing you wear around your neck. Anyway, be that as it may, I have been asked to help with getting materials and fundraising for my battalion, which I'm really surprised they didn't ask me before. But it's a new battalion, and they were setting everything up, and it was a little bit of chaos at the beginning, and but now that they're it's a good group of guys. There's probably like maybe 2 people I don't like, 3 tops in the whole battalion, honestly, and just really a great group of guys. And so those of you who are in the Discord, they gave me a list of stuff that the battalion needs. And they said, James, can you help us get some of this stuff from America? It's not about getting money per se. We actually need and some of it's big stuff like cars. Other stuff is like, camo nets for cars and for entrenched positions. That's really cheap. That's the cost, I think, per meter for this camo net material. But it's not like an actual camo net, unfortunately. So I'm going to, I've created 2 spreadsheets, and I'm going to ask some of you guys if you're interested. Those of you who are on the Discord, if you're interested in helping, I'm not asking you to buy stuff for the battalion. What I need, unless you really want to, what I need help with is finding NGOs, charities, fundraisers, YouTubers who can help raise money for the things that we need. And it's, yes, there's drones, obviously, is one of the things. Obviously, we have an endless amount of drones that we need every day. Okay. But also things like shovels, fire extinguishers, generators, laptops, tablets, all kinds of stuff that's not, and so what I'm doing is I'm going through and separating it out into like lethal, like stuff that could be used as a weapon that maybe some people don't want to support, others do, and then I'm going to kind of separate out into small items, cheap stuff versus expensive stuff. So like cars would be, vehicles of all types. We need all kinds of vehicles, but we need a smaller number of those than we do, for instance, like generators or shovels. And then, maybe some of you, I'm just kind of throwing it out there. And I'm developing a list of charities and NGOs, particularly in the United States, who can help. And so, yeah, Bell says, send me a rundown of what you need on Discord. Yeah, I think what I'll do is maybe I'll share this on the Discord in the coming days. I probably won't have time tonight to do it, but those of you who are on the Discord, maybe some of you can actually add to the list of charities or NGOs if you know of individuals who might be able to help, or organizations who might be able to help. What I really want to do, though, most importantly, is not to have some kind of one-time thing. I mean, that's fine. One-time donation is great. But what I'd really like to do is establish a relationship, an ongoing relationship with some sort of a organization that can help my battalion over the long term, not just, kind of a one-time thing, because I mean, war is just a big pit for money and materials and all of that. We're never going to not need camo nets. We're never going to not need we're never going to not need drones, essentially. It's kind of, these ongoing things. Car tires, if you could believe it, that's on the list. So anyway, those of you who be interested in helping with that, I'd really appreciate it. I will probably tomorrow put the list on the Discord, and two lists. One of that I'm compiling of potential donors or fundraisers, and another with a list of potential needs. And what I really need to do, because it's just so big for me, so many different things, like, frag needs to be US only. No, by no means does it need to be US only. I just went through and compiled what I added to the list was US only so far, just because that's where I started. Where was I? So yeah, so just kind of an ongoing relationship of kind of, or multiple relationships of regular support. And what my commanders told me is, materiel is better than money. Money's great, because we can use it to buy the stuff we need, but it's a heck of a lot easier if they send us the stuff. And that kind of makes sense, because like when you get sent money, you start to get accused of like corruption, and I mean, they're going to do that anyway. But yeah, European companies totally into that. I just, it's not where I started out with. So yeah, and Frag Frag mentioned Car for Ukraine. Yeah, we definitely should probably look at Car for Ukraine also. The 69th Sniffing Brigade, and so I'm hoping to set up kind of a system, where within my battalion, where people can, because within my battalion, it's very easy for Ukrainians. I'm not gonna say it's easy. It's normal for Ukrainians in their units to ask for help from Ukrainian organizations, but they don't have any clue of how to reach out outside of Ukraine for help. At least many units do not. So yeah, Frag, you're right. You can get camo nets from volunteers in Ukraine. That's absolutely right. And that is something that we will probably do. I'm just kind of like using it as an example. You can also get shovels here in Ukraine, so the things that we need that can't be obtained easily in Ukraine, like vehicles, you can even buy generators, to be honest. So yeah, I appreciate any of your guys' help with this. and we'll. I'm going to try and do, now that I have a little bit more flexible schedule, I'm going to try to do more live streams over the next couple of weeks. I think I'm going to have some time. It's no guarantee. Things could change any moment. I hear that the orcs are on the march in my direction all the time. So, any day I could be back out on the front line. Lithuanian companies. Yeah, I hadn't even thought of that. See, there's a classic example. So thank you very much. So I hope I get to see you all. I'm going to try and do another live stream over the weekend, maybe on Sunday, and I will have hopefully more like information about this. And I just want to thank everybody who came today, and it was great seeing you all. And I think that's it, guys. Do pobacenia. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for sticking it out with me. Thank you, Cornelis. And Slava Ukraine.